All right, good morning, everybody, and happy Easter here at the Christabelle Spiritualist Church in beautiful Cherry Valley, Illinois. If someone would like to officially begin our church service today by ringing the bell, looks like Barb's on it. And if there's anybody else who wants to ring it right away, feel free to run back there. I think Barb is the best at that so far. Thank you, Barb. So, as I say every week, because we are still dealing with the pandemic and with the COVID-19 situation, I do appreciate each of you social distancing in opposite rows. And if you do feel comfortable taking your mask off, feel free to. Otherwise, again, if you'd like to leave it on, that's also fine too. Now, because the numbers are still dropping, we are going to be singing this week again. And I know we're a smaller group today, but let's just really raise the vibration in here and just sing loud and sing happily. Before we begin with our actual church service, I do have several announcements. Our next church board meeting will be held on April 11th at 9:30 in the morning to 10:30. And any and all church members are welcome to attend. You are welcome to bring your input. We'd love to hear what you would like to see here. We'd love to hear any input you have. So feel free to come and sit in on the meetings. Anything to help us, bring this church forward into the future. Wednesday, April 14th will be our next Wednesday evening spirit greeting. Everyone in attendance does receive a reading. We start at 6:30 and we continue on until everyone has received a reading. That starts at 6:30, as I said, and the cost is $20 per person. We are still making preparations for the church rummage sale. So if you have anything that you would like to bring in for the rummage sale, feel free to bring it in on a Sunday, or if you're around the area on a weekday, give us a call, and we can try and be down here to facilitate any kind of a drop-off. We will be having a date after the next board meeting. They'll come up with a specific weekend for that rummage sale. And we are always welcoming volunteers to help us out, not only on Sundays for ushering and in the chairperson position, which is what I happen to be doing right now, but also to help clean up the grounds as well as just keeping our chapel looking clean and fresh. We really do need all the help we can get, so any volunteers out there would be greatly appreciated. We have a dry erase board in our healing room here that if anyone would like to volunteer as a healer on Sunday mornings, if you are interested in signing up, you can see me after the service, and we can get you on the dry erase board. I will go through also a certain little protocol for how spiritualist healing works, as well as platform etiquette, and it will kind of help you get on the same page with the healing. Now, for anyone who would rather provide their offering online rather than in cash here at church, we also have a virtual offering plate that is available not only through our church Facebook page, but also through our church's website. So anything that you can add to that offering plate is greatly appreciated. And finally, because it is Easter, we also have today, if you want to stick around after church for a minute, we've gotten from a local bakery, local to me and Deb in Sycamore, we got a lamb cake. So if anybody wants a piece of lamb cake, stick around. And traditionally anyway, in the past years, it's been really yummy. So I know it's going to be good again. All right. Now, if you could, we will officially begin our church service for today. If you could please bow your heads for our invocation. Infinite intelligence, as we join together on this Easter Sunday morning, we are grateful for Spirit's presence in our lives during this wonderful time of renewal. We give thanks for our blessings and ask for guidance with our challenges. It is a great comfort to know that Spirit will be with us all in order to help us to know joy, love, peace, and happiness. Amen. And now, if you could please turn your hymnals to the front inside cover. We will be reading aloud together the Declaration of Principles. And I'll give you just a moment. One moment, please. We are having technical difficulties. Pardon me just a minute, and then we'll get to the non-principles. I'll try to do that later. All right, that was actually just a ploy to give you plenty of time to find the principles. Are we ready to recite them together? We believe in infinite intelligence. We believe that the phenomena of nature, both physical and spiritual, are the expression of infinite intelligence. We affirm that a correct understanding of such expression and living in accordance therewith constitute true religion. We affirm that the existence and personal identity of the individual continue after the change called death. We affirm that communication with the so-called dead is a fact, scientifically proven by the phenomena of spiritualism. We believe that the highest morality is contained in the Golden Rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. We affirm the moral responsibility of individuals and that we make our own happiness or unhappiness as we obey or disobey nature's physical and spiritual laws. We affirm that the doorway to reformation is never closed against any soul here or hereafter. We affirm that the precepts of prophecy and healing are divine attributes proven through mediumship. Yes, we do. Sorry, I'm just so happy to be up here on this Easter Sunday morning. At this time, we will begin our healing service. And as I have mentioned in the past, instead of doing a hands-on healing during church, we now have our pre-church healing service that starts at 10:30 and goes to about 10:50 or so prior to our regular church service. I will now read the names on our healing list. While I am reading them, if you could please focus your awareness, focus your intention on helping to send healing to these names, that would be greatly appreciated. And after I am finished reading these names aloud, if you have anybody that you would like to add to the list that may not be here, feel free to say their first name aloud, and then we will move on after that. Ryan, CJ, Earl, Ken, Joe, Zachary, Daryl, Shane, Kristen, Tina, Eloise, Casey. If anyone would like to add any names? Anyone else? All right. At this time, we will play our healing hymn. If you would like to join us in singing, we are going to be singing from page 11, In the Sunlight of Today. And as I said, feel free to sing it. Just sing it out loud. We want to raise the vibration here.
Sunlight of today, in the sunlight of today.
in the sunlight of today. Let us Christ's blood hand that smites us in the golden light of day. Rounding others never rights us in the sunlight of today. In the sunlight of today. In the sunlight of today. Let us make the world more cheery in the sunlight of today. Let us bear each other's sorrows in sympathetic sway, looking for the bright tomorrows in the sunlight of today. In the sunlight of today. In the sunlight of today. Let us make the world more cheery in the sunlight of today. Thank you, everybody. I can hear a few of you singing out there, so I appreciate that. Now, if you could please turn your hymnals to the back inside cover, we will read aloud together the prayer for spiritual healing. I ask the great unseen healing force to remove all obstructions from my mind and body and to restore me to perfect health. I ask this in all sincerity and honesty, and I will do my part. I ask this great unseen healing force to help both present and absent ones who are in need of help, and to restore them to perfect health. I put my trust in the love and power of God. Now, today's sermon on our special Easter Sunday will be presented by our student pastor, Mark Dorsett. I know it's kind of a surprise because he never comes up here to do these, but hopefully you'll enjoy this Easter Sunday sermon. Bear with him for just one moment while he takes a quick break. Good morning and happy Easter, everybody. It's my hope that today finds you and your loved ones safe and happy this morning. This time of year in which Easter falls has traditionally been a time of fertility, of new beginnings, and renewal. It is also a time of joy and celebration, and it has been for millennia. Various traditions that date back to ancient times have evolved into what we think of as being part of our Easter celebrations here in the United States. One of the most amazing things to me about living in the melting pot that is this wonderful country is the fact that they've managed to roll several different traditions into one celebration. Pardon the egg pun, by the way. Egg roll. And speaking of eggs, let us begin by talking first about our modern practice of dyeing eggs for Easter. It's been a tradition since ancient times to decorate eggs of all kinds, even ostrich eggs. Ancient civilizations were advanced enough in their astronomical skills to know that after the vernal equinox occurred, the days would begin to get longer, and that meant that spring had officially arrived. It was a time of year to be celebrated because it meant that the long winter was finally over. And actually, I think today is a good example of that. It is beautiful outside today. To ancient cultures, this actually meant a time of fertility, a time of renewal, a time of rebirth. What could be a better sign of fertility and new beginnings than an egg, really? As far back as medieval Europe, people were coloring eggs and giving them to each other as gifts. In some religious traditions, especially Eastern European ones, egg decoration is an incredibly beautiful and intricate art form. I actually used to know a woman from the Ukraine who her family would make the most incredibly beautiful, intricate painted eggs, and they'd actually paint them with wax. They took an amazing pride in presenting these eggs to each other because to them that meant how much they loved them. The more intricate, the more beautiful it was. That was their way of showing their love for each other. Not to mention, that it is a point of pride for each of them to kind of outdo each other. Trying to make the most beautiful egg possible. The tradition that is most closely related to our egg dyeing tradition here in the U.S. actually dates back to the 17 and 1800s when German immigrants settled in Pennsylvania, bringing with them a tradition of an egg-laying hare called an Osterhase, who would bring eggs and candy to good children. Yep, an egg-laying Easter bunny. And that was actually almost 300 years before those Cadbury egg commercials, so they were pretty original. Going along with that theme of fertility and new beginnings, I kind of suppose the concept of a bunny just makes sense. Considering one of the main things that hares and rabbits and bunnies, they're known for. For those of you who may not know what I mean by that, come see me after church and I will try and explain the birds and the bunnies to you. So, what about Easter baskets? Every year we have to have Easter baskets and all that kind of fun stuff. Where could the idea of an Easter basket possibly come from? After all, how do we make that leap from an egg-laying Laporte to a basket that's filled with candy and gifts? Really, actually, it's not so much of a leap as it is a hop. Because, do you remember that egg-laying hare that I spoke about just a minute ago? Everybody awake? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yay! About that. Originally, children would create fun nests in which said hare would come and lay its eggs. Over time, the nests actually evolved into baskets, and the Osterhase became the Easter bunny as we know it today. And, personally, being the Snoopy fan that I am, I kind of tend to favor the Easter beagle, but that's just me. So, okay, let's see. What have I missed? I know I missed something. I know, I'm such a ham, right? Oh, actually, you know what? Speaking of ham, that's what I forgot. Anyone care to wager a guess as to how the tradition of making an Easter ham came about? No? Okay. Like so many of our modern Easter traditions, this one actually dates back to a pagan celebration honoring spring and the goddess Yostra. Oh, and in case you were wondering, yes, Yostra, she evolved into Easter over the ensuing centuries. Now, the tradition of eating ham on Easter actually goes back to at least the 6th century. Again, another German tradition that, according to Bruce Craig, who is the founder of the Culinary Historians of Chicago, hunters would slaughter hogs in the forest in the fall and then leave them to cure all winter. By spring, pork was one of the only meats that was ready to go for spring celebrations. And as is the case with other pagan festivals, Christianity kind of adopted that tradition as their own religion spread. Now, what about that tradition of wanting to buy a snappy new outfit for Easter, with the matching bonnet? That tradition actually, again, dates back to the Middle Ages. The idea of wearing new clothes for Easter was considered to bring good luck in the year ahead. I kind of imagine that back then it had a little something to do with the fact that, starting the new year with clean and unstinky clothes was probably, a little extra special for them. But that's just my guess. In the mid-1800s in New York City, a group of women got the idea that since they could likely only wear their fancy Easter dresses for the hour in which they were at church, that they wanted to show those outfits off as much as possible. So what did they do? They started a fashion parade, of course. For anybody who knows anything like with New York and with fashion and that sort of thing, that tradition continues to this day. There's an Easter parade that goes down Fifth Avenue that has all people just dressed in their Easter finest. And it's just their way of showcasing to the world how fashionable they are. I just think that one's kind of fun. Now, this wraps up the history portion of our Easter talk today. Let us move on to the sociology portion, shall we? Depending on your religion or where you happen to live, Easter means something that is a very different way of celebrating. There are also a considerable number of unique and in some cases very fun traditions that have had to be, or that have been had in various parts of the world. Now, as I said earlier, while we here in the United States celebrate Easter by hiding Easter eggs and exchanging Easter baskets while wearing head-to-toe pastels, other parts of the country, or other parts of the world, I should say, they have very different ways of celebrating. For example, in France, while most of their traditions generally run along the lines of the Catholic faith, in the town of Béziers, thousands of people gather on Monday morning following Easter to make a giant omelet. Now, when I say a giant omelet, this omelet consists of about 15,000 eggs and 40 cooks. That might be enough for me. What do you think? Now, unsurprisingly, the Pope leads the Easter celebrations in Italy, holding a huge Mass on Good Friday at St. Peter's Basilica, where the Via Crucis, or Stations of the Cross, is celebrated. During the Mass, a huge crucifix is made out of burning torches and raised into the night sky. Personally, I kind of find that a little terrifying, but that's just me. I like this one. In Florence, Easter Sunday is marked by the Scoppio del Carro, a centuries-old custom in which a huge and elaborately designed antique wagon filled with fireworks is set alight by a dove-shaped rocket after being hauled into this small town square by an oxen and hundreds of people dressed in 15th century clothes. So just imagine this giant firework display going off in the middle of town being lit by a dove rocket. I just think that's kind of fun. No, but this one is my personal favorite of the Easter traditions, of some of them. There's so many that it would have been an hour up here just me talking about it. Now, across Central and Eastern Europe, an ancient tradition exists which actually sees people trying to drench each other with buckets of water. And usually it's the men soaking the women. I know, go figure, another misogynist tradition. People will generally go to church on Easter Sunday, followed by spending time with family and eating entirely too much food. But then on what they're calling Watering Monday in the Ukraine, watering in the Czech Republic and Slovakia, and sprinkling in Hungary, the ritual is supposedly based around women's fertility, with the water having a cleansing effect in order to make them healthy for the upcoming spring. In Hungary, participants will often dress up in folk costumes, and the men will douse the women with buckets of water or perfume. Now, in Poland, traditionally the women are the ones who get soaked, but these days, in modern times, it's become much more of a countrywide water fight, where everybody is dousing each other with buckets of water and just, having a blast getting everybody soaked. After that, they all warm up with some good food and alcohol. So, it does kind of sound like a fun tradition, doesn't it? I think that'd be a fun way to spend it here. But really quickly, I got to add in there, I love the wholesome traditions of Finland and Sweden, though, because their Easter tradition, kids dress up as Easter witches and go door to door, kind of like we do for Halloween. And I just think that's fun. And there's even, they've started having where the elderly are doing it too, just to get in on the fun. So I love that one. That's my kind of a fun Easter tradition. Anything that involves candy. But, okay, so I think that really does kind of wrap up our sociology portion of our sermon today. It's time to talk religion, or, specifically spiritualism, and what Easter means to us spiritualists. So how about I just tie everything up into a nice little Easter bow that you can wear on your Easter bonnet home, huh? I said at the very beginning of this sermon that Easter falls around the time of the vernal or spring equinox, at least here in the northern hemisphere. That that starts the astronomical beginning of spring. And this really is the time when we begin to look ahead in our lives to coming out of that winter mindset of hibernation and starting to become more active again. I know, at least for me, that's how it is, and I kind of have seen other people that way. It's also the time of year when all that flora and fauna around us kind of starts to come back to life after a restful period of winter slumber. In the Spiritualist Church, this is no different. Easter represents a time of renewal and joyfulness because it reminds us of the importance of principle number 8. And I know that we just said it a minute ago, but bear with me here. We affirm that the doorway to Reformation is never closed against any soul here or hereafter. Now, we say that every week, but what does that mean exactly? I'm glad you all asked. That means that every day is a new beginning. Just like nature is beginning anew this time of year, spiritualism teaches us that we can start fresh whenever we choose to. Even if we've made some inappropriate choices in our lives, we still have an opportunity to look at where we are in life and to make changes to help move things forward in a more positive way. The bottom line, we can make a fresh start or a new beginning in this life and in the next one. As it says in principle number 8, the doorway to reformation is never closed against any soul here or hereafter. So, how wonderful is that thought? I mean, to me, that's an amazing thought. That no matter what, we can start anew, and we can start from where we are and make some more improvements, if you want to think of it that way. It just is such a reassuring statement to me. And I will say that, speaking from my own life for a moment, my amazing wife Deb and I, we don't really think of the new year as being the best time for anything resembling a resolution. We find that for us, springtime is actually, specifically around the Easter time, the time of the vernal equinox, feels much more right for us to come up with new ideas, new ways of thinking, new ways of being. Why would that be? Anybody care to wager a guess why that would be, that this time of year seems a little more appropriate to start fresh, to start with a new beginning? Okay, because everything else is starting fresh. Nature is starting anew. Even the sun is coming out. The days are getting longer. This is the perfect time to decide to make those positive changes. So many people arbitrarily decide that the new year is when it is, but you're still in the midst of winter and it's still dark and it's, nobody wants to go outside. Nobody wants to have to go to the gym then. And whereas now, it's much easier to feel motivated. And you will stick with those ideas much more easily, honestly. When it comes to figuring out where you want to be and how you want to improve, we can put that focus on ourselves and that focus on helping to make ourselves become better, stronger, happier people. So don't let yourself fall back into any rut that you were in before. Today, it's Easter Sunday. Please look around at those people you care about. And even if you cannot physically be with them, take the time to reach out to those people in whatever capacity that you can. Phone them, email, video chat, whatever that you can do to reach out to those people. Check on your loved ones. Even those people who seem to be doing all right normally, even strong people need to know that they are not alone. Help them to know that they are loved. Help them not to feel lost. Easter is also a holiday that your loved ones in spirit will be thinking about you. And as much as they do at every holiday, this one is a very special one in particular for a lot of people in spirit. Remember our principle number 4. We affirm that the existence and personal identity of the individual continue after the change called death. Your loved ones are all around you, and they want you to know that they are doing spectacularly well. They really are. They love you, and they want you all to know that. Talk to them. And I know that sounds silly to some people, but they will hear you. You don't have to say it out loud. You can just think it to them, and they will hear you. Even though they are already aware of what is happening in your lives, they want to hear it from you. They might be able to see it from a distance, but they'd rather hear that personally. And that's the voice of experience. Trust me on that. Personally, I kind of like to joke that I am the cell phone that people in spirit dial into. You've all heard me make that joke before. And it's one of my main life purposes to connect with people who are in this life, to connect them to the next. If you are someone who is feeling lost, remember to focus on the positive things that you have in your life. Reach out to anyone that you can and ask for help. Know that we here at the Christabelle Spiritualist Church, we are here for you. We will do everything that we can to help you in any way that we can. Know that you're not stuck. Think of yourself right now. Those of you who are feeling kind of stuck right now, don't think of yourself as being stuck. Think of yourself as being a caterpillar who is evolving in their cocoon. You're getting ready to spread your wings and become that beautiful butterfly that the world needs right now. Spread your wings and fly. Oh, yeah. And don't forget to land on the sunflower that is the Christabelle Spiritualist Church. Come visit us here and help us to be part of making your Sunday a fun day. As you go forth this week, may you have the gladness of Easter, which is hope, the promise of Easter, which is peace, the spirit of Easter, which is love. Thank you. At this time, I do ask for the ushers come forward for the collection of the offering. If you could please bow your heads in prayer for a moment. Infinite Spirit, we give thanks for these gifts so generously given. Without these gifts, we cannot grow. We ask a blessing for what is shared with us today and a special blessing for the givers. May they continue seeing the law of abundance in their lives. We dedicate these gifts to the future of our church and to spiritualism. Amen. All right, at this time, and I know I just said that with the offering, but at this time, we will be beginning our spirit greeting portion of today's service. And if you could please stand for this particular hymn, it helps us to raise the vibration and get ready for Spirit to communicate with us. We will be singing hymn number 174, Wonderful Words of Life.
Sing them over again to me, wonderful words of love. Let me more of their beauty see, wonderful words of life. Words of life and beauty, teach me faith and duty. Beautiful words, wonderful words, beautiful words of life. Beautiful words, wonderful words, wonderful words of life. All sing the blessings give to all, wonderful words of love. Ever listen to a loving call, wonderful words of life. All so freely given, moving us to heaven. Beautiful words, wonderful words, wonderful words of life. Beautiful words, wonderful words, wonderful words of life.
And you may be seated. Okay, so it was an interesting set of spirit greetings today. I hate saying this, but it is something they ask us to do. If any of the messages that you received today truly spoke to you, please fill out a mediumship affidavit at the back of our church. Our student mediums do need these to help become a certified medium or a pastor or licentiate minister with the NSAC. At this time, if you could please bow your heads for our closing benediction. Oh wait, actually, you know what? Let's do the song first. I am out of order, sorry. Our closing hymn for today will be hymn number 202, Doxology.
and bear our parting praise unite. Lead kindly light, lead kindly light.
And that will officially conclude our Easter service here at the Christabelle Spiritualist Church. Before you leave, we do have cake that we have sitting in the healing room. We just have to get it sliced up really quickly. So hang around for a minute and enjoy a little bit of fellowship. Thank you again, and have a wonderful week ahead, everybody.